And yeah, we have with us here T-Rex, who is helping us to organize this hackathon. T-Rex has a background in regenerative finance and has been organizing different hackathons, including at COP28. T-Rex, you want to kick us off and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sounds good. Welcome, everyone. I'm unfortunately not going to be able to join via video as I'm in the middle of the woods here in New Zealand, but I'll have steady enough signal to be able to present. And I think for me, what's really important in this regenerative finance movement is really being able to reconnect with ourselves and the world around us. We're reimagining our vision and our shared reality of what we live in from an exploitative state in which the economy currently exists into a more regenerative paradigm where we can really thrive and flourish in a natural state. So being able to bring more holistic well-being of the natural and social world into this. And there is a huge movement of energy and people around the world creating solutions just for this sort of thing. The people that are in person are lucky enough to be able to connect with each other in a fantastic eco village. And yeah, ever since I've heard the dream of the TDF, I've really been inspired, and yeah, would love to hear more on that side and potentially some of the technology that we'll be using for this hackathon.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we also have a team here on the ground, Corey, Vesta, Astrid, and everyone else who's been contributing to, yeah, just getting this hackathon. And it's our first time doing a hackathon, so bear with us. And basically the idea is we've created all this technology over the last several years, like 3-4 years. I'm going to go through a little bit of the background and what we've been building to give you a bit of an idea and maybe give you some inspiration for what can be built. TDF has always been a little bit this outlier in the ReFi space because we're not necessarily like a carbon tracking protocol or like a ReFi protocol per se, but we've been trying to see how we can actually apply those regenerative finance primitives that have been devised by other projects like open forest protocol and these kind of things, and seeing how we can actually build that into real economies, into the real world, and trying to bring real value to a digital token. So not just like speculative assets like Bitcoin that are kind of creating new beliefs around what holds value, but really trying to create something that holds an intrinsic value when you can use the token to get access to something in the real world. And unfortunately, it's a very small minority still in the crypto space of projects that actually give you access to real things. And so this is a bit of an experiment. And yeah, there hasn't been so many resources in this ecosystem yet. So I'm excited that we have about 15,000 euros in prizes for this hackathon. And so hopefully we're going to be driving some hackers to building on top of all the things that we've been creating. So I'll go through a little bit of things about. So first of all, what is regeneration? Let me move this a bit. So the definition of regeneration that I like to give is that it's creating the capacity for holding more life, holding more quantity of life, more quality of life, and more diversity of life. So some projects look at, for example, carbon. What does carbon counting really mean? It means more quantity of life. It's more carbon molecules that are being stored in the mass of living beings rather than being in the atmosphere and causing greenhouse gases. It's more quality of life. Quality is quite subjective, but let's try to create an economy where we can actually incentivize for those things more qualitative behavior, because I think in our hearts, we all know what a quality life is. It's not being a caged chicken, for example. So shifting this building from caged chicken to a regenerative farm where we actually like creating the conditions for life to thrive is one way to do regeneration. And more diversity, of course, because, well, biodiversity is collapsing. We lost 69% of all biodiversity in the last 40 years. So it's critical that we really give space back to nature to be able to flourish and preserve itself for future generations. So here's a little bit the ways that we like to look at things in our ecosystem. It's basically at the bottom of everything, we always have nature. Nature is kind of the bottom of the pyramid. It's what enables everything else to be built on top of it. And nature can be considered as natural assets, as things that provide benefits for all life to flourish from. And in order to have that, we need to have water, we need to have biodiversity, we need to sequester carbon. And so we like to look at this baseline is like, what are all the kind of ecosystem services that nature provides that we can start to quantify and measure so that we can start to incentivize the right behaviors. And I think that's what ReFi is creating financial primitives that can incentivize for the growth of nature. And so at the bottom of everything, we have natural assets. On top of that, in our ecosystem, we're putting housing and infrastructure. How can we create more food, create more buildings, and having thriving habitats, but also like having a thriving economy, having businesses operating in these spaces. And then what we've been building is how can we distribute the access and the governance of these type of spaces through a digital protocol, and what are some of the primitives that would be needed so that we can govern ourselves and issue access rights on chain for regenerative real estate. So here at TDF, for example, we created the TDF token. We try to map it to real value, like I was talking about earlier. And so the most real value and the most simple thing that we could find is like an access right to be able to stay here. So dividing the time of the space. So one TDF token is 1 night spent per year forever. So anyone can understand what the value of the token actually means. It's not some kind of complex token economics that you need to have a Web3 engineering background to understand, but it's simply like sharing the time to a space. And so based on this primitive, then you can kind of come up with all kind of complex systems to make the game flourish and to incentivize the right behaviors and so on. But this is kind of the core of the system. And a little bit about the history of Closer, which is a platform that we've been pioneering. Basically, it's been around for a few years already. We hosted several both online events and festivals and things like that, and that we pivoted into creating a toolkit for land-based projects. So since 2021, we've been with a diverse team of people, we've been kind of creating this technology and really trying to look at hands-on approach for what does it look like to bring on board some of the tooling that's been created in the Web3 space with DAOs and so on into physical lands. And yeah, right now we have 4 communities that are deployed on Closer with about 1 million in locked real estate values that you can access through the tokens deployed on Closer. And we had about 2,000 nights booked through Closer. And so that's growing rapidly. And the goal for us is to get to 10 communities on Closer by end of the year. And then to make it super scalable so that next year, any community in the world could just launch a token. This is a little bit about the roadmap. And so this is also where some of the bounties are coming from. We want to just make the tech more simple, less need to be like a Web3 nerd to understand it and to be able to sign up, really make it super practical and have integrations to real world interactions, such as, for example, being able to open up your door with a token or like a physical chip, or being able to pay at the bar, whatever it is, just to make it super, super simple for people entering the ecosystem to actually being able to interact with all the contracts and so on. So for the hackathon criteria, I don't know, TRX, do you want to share maybe about that? Or should I go through it?
Yeah. So you go through that part, and I'll go through the door hacks part right after that.
Okay. So for the hackathon, I mean, it's a bit experimental. Let's see where we get to, but basically we're providing you with some tools. There's a whole closed platform. There's Inverter. So Inverter is creating a modular smart contract infrastructure that makes it very easy to replicate the kind of token model that we created here, where you can have a bonding curve and all these kind of other mechanics to be able to distribute token access to a community. And making it very secure, having all the contracts audited and so on, and meaning that as a Web3 land-based project that wants to come on chain and start to use technology to decentralize access and governance, it's just becoming easier and easier over time. And so some of the hackathon criteria that we put in place is, well, the goal of the hackathon is to drive Web3 governance and access. So, you know, however you can imagine that, whether that's like, for example, leveraging the existing tech with a closer proof of presence, or like creating other form of interactions where you can distribute the access of physical real estate to a decentralized community. And we want these, the outcome of the hacks to be regenerative and ideally to even go towards a ecological benefits framework. The ecological benefits framework is basically starting to layer on top of something like carbon, but starting to look at what are all the other components that make for regenerative practices. So looking at water, air, soil, equity, biodiversity, and making sure that when we do regeneration, we kind of look at it through these simple lenses and trying to create ecological benefits in all those categories. In order to be eligible, all the code should be open source and submitted by the end of the week, and have a little demo video that goes through it. So we have some nice bounties that have been put up by our partners. So I'm gonna talk a little bit through them, so you understand where they're coming from. And so basically, I mean, you can submit any idea, any project for the hackathon, for the general hackathon. There's going to be 3 top prizes, but then we put in place specific bounties for teams that want to build in the ecosystem that we created and creating something that go towards the roadmap that we want to see implemented. So the first one is creating a land project index token. Why? Because this is a way that you can, well, first of all, what does it mean? It means creating a token that holds multiple land-based tokens under it. So for example, you have the TDF land-based token. Now, if you could have like 3 different communities, for example, that pull their tokens together under one index, and then when I buy that index, I get exposure to the whole portfolio of land-based projects rather than to a single land-based project. So that de-risk your investment because you are spreading it across more projects. So if one fails, the others might not. And what we would like to see is like, what does that actually mean? So the hackathon is quite open-ended, but it's about what kind of utility can we provide to an index token? How does that map out? Most likely you would have less, say, governance rights if you were buying an index token rather than a native token for a project. But yeah, some thoughts can be put into that. And so we're offering half an ETH that's been donated by Ma-Earth. Ma-Earth is one of our partners. They have an amazing docu-series about the regeneration. So I invite you to go and check them out, as well as some TDF tokens. And the second bounty is on creating a door lock. So that's something very practical and tangible, the outcome that we would love to see out of this hack. We have some ARX chips, well, here at TDF, and if you're hacking online, then I guess you would have to request some. But the ARX chips is a Web3 enabled NFC wallet. So it means that it has a private key built into it, so you can sign transactions by tapping and like your NFC chip onto a device. So we've been thinking about using that as a way to, for example, unlock your door to your room, because that means that by then tapping your door room, you'll actually be able to sign a Web3 transaction that can then get sent back into the ledger and going to the close a booking contract and minting some presence tokens for you. Maybe a bit difficult, but yeah, happy to dive into more details. Then Inverter protocol is providing a bounty of $1,000 in OP token for anyone that just uses the SDK. So if you build something on it, you can submit that hack and you can qualify for that bounty. One of our roadmap items is bringing the closer booking contract into Inverter network, which is basically making it more scalable, more modular, and making it so that any community in the future would be, with a few clicks, able to deploy their own Web3 infrastructure without requiring a lot of expensive Web3 development to be able to launch a token. So that's like one of the features that we are sponsoring. And basically for that bounty, if anyone wants to take it on, we're looking for a team to basically build it, and there's going to be follow-up prizes as well, even after the hackathon, if someone wants to actually run with that. Another bounty is on creating a region village score. So we have seen different ReFi primitives for example, things like tracking carbon with open forest protocol. There's protocols for biodiversity and others. And there's many projects that are working on trying to quantify like a score for land-based regeneration. So it's like, say, tracking a forest and seeing how is that evolving over time. And we would like to see something that's specifically geared towards a regenerative village, because a village includes, it's a quite complex ecosystem. It's not just a forest, but you might have some agricultural land, you might have some rewildering land, you might have some water sensors. For example, we have some sensors here tracking the waters that we consume from the wells and from the gray water, how much we're cycling, how much water we're sending to the reforestation and so on. And so we would like to just have like a proof of concept of what does a regenerative village score look like. Something that's ideally using a bunch of public data like open forest protocol or other open source data, and then just calculating some kind of score based on that. And that would eventually be able to be used for things like giving out discounts for people using Closer and these kind of things. Do we have any questions on the bounties before I continue? No. All right. Then, yeah, the prizes we are offering 80 nights of stay at TDF, and we're offering 1/2 ETH for the first hackathon prize. So those are open-ended towards any hacks that kind of fit within the category and that check the boxes for the eligibility criteria. And that's it. That's what I have.
Well, fantastic. I'm excited about these prizes and being able to, yeah, work together towards some bounties with whoever's on your team, and yeah, going that way. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen so that I'll be able to, let's see here. I'll be able to share what door hacks is going to be. So making sure we can do this. And just a second here. Copying the link. So we're using Dora Hacks as our platform for this hackathon. And the reason that we use Dora Hacks is that it's a free to use platform for organizing hackathons that has a huge community of hackers behind it. So right now, our hackathon is featured along the likes of Brax, who is currently hosting a $250,000 hackathon, and various other hackathons. To be able to create a Biddle, which is your project, you're going to need to log into Dora Hacks. So you go to dorahacks.io and click login. Here, let's do email login. So email login, we go tr azos.tech is my email. And then we say get code. And this sends an email for me to get a verification code. The verification code allows my one-time login. So I got the verification code and I'm now logging into the site. As you can see, there are some details that you need to have for creating your hacker profile, such as your profile picture, your profile name, your user handle, what org, company, school you're with, and a short introduction as to who you are. As this is just a test, I'm just putting self in these two fields. It's really handy to have a Twitter, LinkedIn, website, and for those hackers, GitHubs, so that we actually know, and your teammates actually know what you've been able to create so far. So list your skill sets and as much information as you can on this. Once you've created your profile, you'd say, I agree, and confirm here. And this will create your profile. Now that you have your profile, you're gonna go to our hackathon. So you can just type in igniting nature-backed economy, and it shows it right there. This is our hackathon page, and you're going to be able to see all sorts of information about the hackathon here. So if you didn't take notes during the presentation, it's absolutely all right because it's listed here. This is our overview of the hackathon, where to join the conversation, and rules and conditions, the submissions, eligibility criteria that we just went over, the judging criteria, so you know exactly how much you want to focus on each of these different aspects, the judging form, where you can see exactly how the judgings are going to need to score your project, and then the specific bounties, as well as overall prizes. It's important, as there are workshops throughout this week, to add this hackathon schedule to your calendar. Next, we'll go to the biddles. And there's no biddles currently here, as the hackathon hasn't started yet. It starts in 19 hours. So we're going to register as a hacker. We'll start our onboarding process, which shows exactly what I need to do to be comfortable with. So inverter and closer are two of the things that you need to really know about when doing this. And we'll just say, I complete that, and I complete that. Once I've done the onboarding, and once the hackathon is open to hacking, which is in 19 hours, you'll be able to create your biddle on this platform. From there, I'll go to another hackathon so that we'll be able to see what it looks like. From there, your biddles are going to look somewhat like this. You'll have other biddles that you'll be able to see what their people are hacking about. And then here, you'll have the pitch video, a little bit of description about the project and the hack that you created. Why did you create it? All of that sort of thing, and the additional value add. You might even include instructions as to how to use your application in this. And here, what's important for the judges to see is where the GitHub is located. So in the primary title section, you'll see that there is an AZOS hub where all of this repository is listed. You can, as a participant in the hackathon, you can even upvote others' projects and be able to ideate together. Ideation and being able to really think about what you want to submit is done under ideas. So, for example, in this hackathon, there was a carbon negative giving platform, ReFi education platform, etc., that were listed as ideas for people. You can see all your fellow hackers in this tab and what their skills are, and maybe even what they want to do. Judges are going to be updated in the next couple days as to who the individuals are that are actually ranking your projects. Again, if you want to see the hackathon details, go to the details page and it will list all the different criteria. Does anybody have any questions at this point in terms of Dora hacks? Okay, well, this is one of the first steps. And one of the first steps for you as a hacker is to just join our Telegram. Our Telegram is going to be a great communication channel for you throughout this fantastic week to be able to communicate with one another and say where you're at, if you're looking for team members, if you're really missing something, asking questions, just being open with where and what you are doing. Yeah, we're all building this regenerative movement together. So let's have fun while doing it. And yeah, we can keep the chat fun as well.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
So yeah, I guess for the hackers of you, next step will be to form a team and to pitch an idea. So does anyone here in the room already have some ideas of hacks that they want to work on this week and want to pitch it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I invite you to come and pitch it, and basically you get a couple of minutes to describe what you want to do, and then we can ask questions and you can see if you need anyone for your team or anything.
Okay, so let me introduce myself shortly. I'm Ray, and I live in Lisbon. I'm an engineer, industrial engineer, and I started to join the Web3 community in Bankless DAO in 2021. From there, I met a lot of people, and then I met some region friends that greenpilled me. So the things we are trying to do in Bankless DAO, which is mostly including people into Web3, I realized that I can do it in region ecosystem, which will be more helpful to the world, to nature, instead of like doing staking, DeFi, degen stuff. That's just for your benefit, as I feel. So yeah, that's what I'm trying. That's why I'm in this ecosystem. And what I'm trying to build actually myself is a platform that is basically a Luma or a meetup, that's event organization platform. So I didn't know Closer before applying to the hackathon. So after I check, I see that you have also a event organization protocol, right? As Closer. So that's interesting. Anyway, what I'm trying to do is Meetup and Luma, they just are tools for RSVP for the event. You don't follow up with it. What I'm trying to do is follow up, because the event organizers will be in the organization, will be there mostly, and try to prove that people were there, people were joined, actually contributed and measure how much they contributed with IoT devices like the ARX, which is like, again, I didn't know. And by that way, get their wallets who are joined, and then retroactively reward them with mostly quadratic funding. I don't know if we have time, but I can send a diagram of what I'm trying to do in the chat. We can just no, okay.
Yeah, I think if you can share some more details, feel free to maybe make a post in the Telegram channel, and with some diagrams or anything.
So basically, that's what I'm trying to do. A event platform that follows up and proves that the event happened and how much was the contribution by whom, and then reward them with quadratic funding. And also, I was using hypersearch. Probably most of us know if we are in the ecosystem, but it's an NFT, ERC1155, and that records these data. That has a metadata section that you can record all these and create an LO list. So it all comes down to automatic redistribution of funds until the point that the person who did the actual contribution, who collected the garbage, you can, like what I was planning, the test environment was a garbage collection event, and you basically use an IoT scale to transfer the how much garbage was collected individually and in total, and you can distribute the retroactive funds with the percentage of how much you contributed, right? So where I met is I have this. Okay, I'm sharing the document now. I built mostly the Web2 part of it, and I was able to mint the hypercert. Here's the Vercel link right over the app overview, and here, yeah, this is the diagram that explains RSVP, join, proof of attendance, create the NFT, and like basically we need an app treasury, which I'm hoping to get from, again, like grants and donors. So the app basically will be trying to raise funds at the same time while maintaining the app. The team behind the app needs a fundraising team, kind of. So I'm alone in this. I have friends, of course, like I'm in Artist DAO, ReFi Istanbul, ReFi Lisbon, but we don't have the team to build it. I was able to build until the Gitcoin connection because I have to use the protocol, Allo protocol, it's called, and I wasn't able to deploy it. I feel I'm so close, but I don't know where I'm, what I'm missing because I'm not a coder. I'm basically a project manager, business developer, maybe. I'm a hobby coder. I'm learning as I go with the help of ChatGPT, which is like unbelievable at this point with what I built. So yeah, I'm looking for a team probably, and more than funding, probably a team that would believe we can get this going. And because the main how do you get paid with this is by the retroactive funding. So I'm looking for like-minded people who would believe that we could make this work and get retroactively funded with the same system that we created.
All right. So an incentive mechanic for IRL events in spaces. I guess make a post about it, and then if someone wants to contribute, they can reach out to you directly.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other ideas, team suggestions?
Well,
Right, we have a team at TDF.
Hey guys, our team here at TDF wanted to explore how to take the current ecosystem that TDF has with their current Diamond smart contracts and merge that to Inverter, and to see what possibilities Inverter offer for to democratize the use of blockchain, basically. So to create templates and precedents for other communities and other projects to hop on and to use the technology more easier. So so we're currently just trying to figure out what are the requirements on TDF side and how to take the proof of presence smart contracts and integrate them into an ecosystem that's going to be adaptive and evolutive as well. So that's the current project.
Woohoo! And do you have any needs, by the way?
needs.
Yeah.
Anyone with knowledge about inverter would be greatly appreciated.
We're gonna have some office hours with some of the lead engineers from Inverter and Closer on Tuesday and Thursday. So if someone gets a hand dirty, they can get some support. Yonks, Jason, so you had your hand raised. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Would love to share a project that I'm building called Gigs Go Green, positioning it as a movement for gig workers and specifically Uber and Lyft drivers. And when you think about people that are supporting their local community, transporting people from point A to point Z, Uber and Lyft have really transcended it, especially here in the United States, to public good. But also, Uber and Lyft are some of the most extractive platforms that we've seen here in the 21st century. And not looking to compete with Uber or Lyft, but wanting to create more synergistic opportunities more through a regenerative finance movement where we're wanting to acquire cooperatively owned electric vehicles with a shared equity appreciation model for these Uber and Lyft drivers. And once we get a micro fleet of cooperatively owned electric vehicles, well, these cars are going to be getting driven all the time and they're going to need to charge all the time. And that's the opportunity to build some renewable energy infrastructure by building out cooperatively owned distributed energy resources, which has a solar, battery storage, and EV charging component. And then the third synergistic cooperative in Gigs Go Green to facilitate the distributed energy resources is real estate. So looking to create a circular economy with these three synergistic cooperatives for the primary benefit of these Uber and Lyft drivers through this Gigs Go Green movement. And we're just barely getting started, but would love to create a proof of contribution model on CELO surrounding the how that people are contributing either with their efforts or their economic contributions. And then on base, that's where we're looking to really have the tokenized real world assets to support these synergistic cooperatives.
Sounds great. Maybe something we can bring to TDF sometime, have a communally owned green vehicle to pick up people at the train station. And do you have specific needs or asks from the group here?
Yeah, what we're doing is a very ambitious project, and there's only a small group of us that are building, and the opportunity of bringing on additional people to really create the model on chain is really the big opportunity. So that's one of the skill gaps that we have as far as from a developers is don't have any on-chain developer experience.
All right. Well, I guess make a post in the Telegram group and see what you can come up with. Do we have anyone else that would like to pitch an idea or a team or have any other further thoughts on igniting the nature-backed economy? What's up, Ram? Where are you calling in from?
Hey, currently in Lisbon, just wanted to dial in to see what kind of ideas were floating around and to see if I could add any value to any teams. So also looking forward to seeing what ideas people share on the chat. Some ideas that I personally had just based off what people have said already and based off reading the hackathon requirements and also spending a month at TDF. Therefore, I suppose gaining a more on the ground understanding of what I at least think are some needs for eco villages and communities. One would be a very easy UI for proof of action, which would kind of work as a decentralized social graph with vouching to actually verify what contributions people actually do on the land. So in terms of, contributing to harvesting or mulching or building new things at TDF, I think there's a lot of hard work that goes into maintaining the land. And I think having a fair way to reward and recognize people in some way would be of value. And then I also read that there was, I believe, a bounty or an idea about having like integration with the Agartha map, which is a map of eco villages. I don't understand yet if all of them are DAOs or if they just use technology in varying degrees. But similar idea on the social graph, having like a way of people who have visited each of these networks to I suppose review in a standardized manner. I think one potential challenge with Agartha or comparing eco villages is that they're all so different, which makes it a bit hard to standardize like a review or ranking because they all have very unique selling points and values and beliefs. So I'm potentially looking more into this. And another potential idea regarding Agartha is just having some sort of DAO for Dummies toolkit, letting projects on Agartha, if they want to, utilize the DAO framework and decentralize their governance using technology. So yeah, those are some ideas that I had. If anyone's interested, feel free to reach out and let's see what happens.
Thank you, Ram. And yes, Agatha is a map that's been built by someone who is also a TDF member, but she's also a member of Mars College in the US. That's her main home. They also host a lot of hackathons and so on in that space. And she's been visiting a lot of cool solarpunk spaces all around the world and created this nice map, which I think is still the best representation of these type of let's say technologically and ecologically and socially minded spaces, kind of bringing in this digital side into the eco-village movement. And yes, you were asking if they were all kind of DAOs and so on. I think the answer is no, like this is just a map of different projects. They all have different kind of frameworks and so on. But three of the projects in the map at least are on Closer, and we're onboarding more and more of these spaces to Closer. So the bounty that we put up was to start adding a bit of integration to this map. For example, being able to maybe just have like a direct booking button that would link you to the Closer platform if this community is enabled on Closer, for example, or maybe pulling things like public events that are published in one space and being able to surface that to this global map, which could have all the events from all the spaces all around. So just kind of building these kind of interactions. It could also be a place to surface, for example, the region village score, which was another bounty. So if someone wanted to build something like that, you could display like a score here saying, oh, like this is how this project is doing in terms of water conservation or in terms of other kind of regenerative metrics. And I'm still missing a bit of the onboarding guide for Agatha. That's why I didn't put it too much in the hackathon yet. But if someone is interested to hack on it, I'll put you directly in touch with the founder and you can get access to the repo and build on it.
Thanks for the context.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, I think we're gonna keep it to that for today. I encourage you all to maybe make a post in the Telegram group with whatever idea you want to build. You can also chat about it on Dora Hacks. I know we have like about 20 people registered to hack on Dora Hacks. So I'm guessing they're probably more the technically minded and maybe less of the people joining on this call. So we maybe need to get the people in the room here and on the call to kind of fish out some technical talent from Dora Hacks and guide them towards building stuff that matters for real spaces. Not sure how we're going to coordinate that, but I count on y'all's collective intelligence. Yeah, and I guess maybe just to close it off, yeah, like I just want to say that the closer team will be working on this for the whole week, and we're going to be available to also build things and whatnot. And I'm putting the whole team just on the hackathon for the week. So we're supporting those 4 communities, like I said, Leos Labs and Moor's Garden in Berlin and so on. And so those are real projects with big communities and lots of things going on. And so we're building for them and with them. So I also encourage you to, if you want to do some user research, for example, I can put you in touch with some village founders who are actually running these spaces to kind of see what to build. And I guess that can be like a role of coordination of, yeah, all the way from village founders to the hackers and like everything in between that actually, yeah, builds out tech that actually empowers the commons and community. Anyone else on the call has some last words?
Well, I, for one, am excited to see what we can achieve in this week. And yeah, looking forward to openly communicating as to my progress throughout the week. And I'll make sure to add the calendar to my calendar so that I'm notified of all the different events happening and know that exactly when I will need to put my keyboard down to stop hacking, so that, yeah, judges can judge and I can potentially get rewarded. So looking forward to hacking alongside you all, and yeah, let's do this.
Wonderful. And I see there's a little Lisbon meetup being spontaneously instigated by Ram and Ray Bankless. So for those in Lisbon, you can connect there. And yeah, the next session is going to be tomorrow afternoon. I'll be diving into a bit more detail about the tech stack for TDF and just kind of going through and talking through the ways that we structured our land-based DAO and how the token works and kind of what's the infrastructure around it. With TDF being a prototype for how to create this type of initiatives. And so if you're looking for more inspiration, if you want to learn more about TDF, then join the session tomorrow. And there'll be other sessions announced in the calendar as well. And then there's going to be office hours Tuesday and Thursday. And Wednesday, we're going to have an onboarding call for potential land-based project that would like to get started with Web3. All right. Happy hacking, everyone.
Woo! Yeah.
Nice to meet you, everyone. See you later.
Man.
Man.